We will fight, and we'll hold the U.S. by the throat through the Strait of Hormuz, and we'll continue to hammer them. And if they try to do anything on the ground, then they'll really see what we can do. You've messed with the wrong country. Your propaganda doesn't work anymore. And the Iranian people have shown their resolve. They'll see this through. What you've done to the Palestinian people, to the Iraqi people, to the Cuban people,
finally,
to the Venezuelan people,
we are running out of time. We are running out of time.
To the Iranian people.
Can I ask you about
That interview went off the rails almost right away. Kate McCann tried to open with a standard question about conditions inside Iran, and within seconds, Mohammad Marandi turned it into a full attack on Western media, Western governments, and the entire framing of the interview itself. By the end, it was not even a normal guest-host exchange anymore. It felt more like a live on-air struggle over who got to define reality in front of the audience. Before we get into it, subscribe for more breakdowns of major political interviews, media clashes, and high-pressure moments like this. Because there was a lot going on under the surface here.
Iran launched attacks on Israel last night, killing 2 in Tel Aviv. Those strikes were revenge for the death of one of Iran's most senior leaders, Ali Larijani. America, meanwhile, says it has bombed missile sites in Iran that threatened the Strait of Hormuz. The internet in Iran has been down for more than 3 weeks, so it's difficult to talk to opponents of the regime inside the country, but we can now speak to someone who is supportive. Professor Mohammad Marandi is a professor of English literature at the University of Tehran, and he joins us now from Iran. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you give us the sort of perspective on what it's like there at the moment? It's often difficult for us to speak to people inside Iran.
Well, it's difficult for you to speak to people inside Iran because you're helping the United States carpet bomb the country or regime people involved in the murder of people. So the internet is down because for international use, you can use Iranian websites and Iranian apps. But because the United States uses it to use cameras, the Israeli regime uses people's cameras to strike targets inside the country, they're forced to do that. And I use because it belongs to a studio in Iran. You asked me to be on your show, and I came on your show. So it's because of aggression and murder and death and destruction that your governments bring about that this is the situation.
That opening matters because Kate is trying to begin with a broad scene-setting question. It is the kind of question that usually lets a guest settle in and explain their side. Marandi does the opposite. He refuses the setup and turns the question back on the interviewer almost instantly. He is not trying to ease into the conversation. He is trying to put the host on trial from the first minute. And once he does that, the tone changes fast. The exchange is no longer about what is it like there right now. It becomes a fight over guilt, complicity, and media legitimacy. He is telling the audience right at the start that the person asking the questions has no moral standing to ask them. That is a very aggressive move, but is also a strategic one. If you can discredit the interviewer early, then every later question can be treated as biased, hostile, or dishonest. That looked like his plan from the jump. The next section pushes that even harder because he does not stop at accusing the West in general. He starts making very specific claims.
The death of Ali Larijani has been hailed by America and by Israel as a significant turning point in this conflict. What has your response been to that?
Well, all you have to do is go and see what people are doing on the streets every night. There are millions of people on the streets every night in Tehran and tens of millions across the country. They rally in support of the armed forces, in support of the Constitution, in support of the leader, in support of the state. And in fact, your government, and this is something that Western media has hid from the public, obviously, because they're Epstein class controlled. But during a major rally in Tehran on Friday, where people were on the streets, they fired missiles at the people. And the woman was killed.
Who fired missiles at people on the streets of Tehran?
The U.S.-Israeli jets that fired missiles, they fired it at the demonstrators. You didn't even know this because your media outlets won't tell you. But they fired on people. And I tweeted this. I tweeted maybe 10 different tweets. People across the world have seen it. In the West, of course, it's because you have censorship there extensively more than the rest of the world. And you're heavily propagandized. You don't see this. But your regimes help the U.S. bomb demonstrators.
Now, the interview moves from heated to explosive. The reason that moment lands so hard is because Marandi is not speaking in vague terms anymore. He is making a direct, concrete accusation about missiles hitting demonstrators. That changes the pressure on the host immediately because now she has to challenge the claim or risk letting it sit there uncontested. Kate jumps in with the obvious question, who did it? That is a basic journalistic move. But Marandi uses even that challenge to reinforce his larger point that Western audiences are being kept in the dark. Look at the pattern. He makes a dramatic claim. The host asks for clarity. He then treats the request for clarity as proof of censorship and propaganda. That is a strong rhetorical shield. It lets him avoid losing momentum while also turning skepticism into evidence for his side. Would that answer have satisfied a neutral viewer looking for verification? Probably not. But in terms of performance, he keeps control because he answers with total confidence and no hesitation. That confidence is doing a lot of work for him in the clip. Then the interview hits its first major collision because Kate goes straight at the regime's record inside Iran.
Ali Larijani was responsible for the deaths of many thousands of people inside Iran who wanted to protest legitimately against the regime. Tens of thousands of people have been killed in the last couple of months. America and Israel say it was right to target him because of those deaths.
Well, that's your regime propaganda, and of course, you're pro-regime.
Well, no, I'm asking you.
I'm
asking you straightforward questions, and I'm asking you a question which relates to the deaths of tens of thousands of protesters.
Don't be cowardly. Let me answer. Those 3,117 people who were killed, it's your responsibility and the responsibility of your regimes, because you sent terrorists and gave them weapons to slaughter hundreds of police officers and countless people on the streets in order to create armed insurrection.
What proof do you have of that? What proof do you have of that?
The proof. Mossad, in a Persian statement, said that they have people on the ground. Pompeo, in a tweet, said that Mossad is on the ground. Pompeo, in an interview on, I think, Channel 13 or 15 in Israel, said the CIA is on the ground. More importantly, Channel 14 in Israel, which is close to Netanyahu, said that foreign intelligence agencies brought in the weapons to kill the hundreds of police officers.
Whether or not there are, your
media will not say this to the people.
Whether or not
the footage is there.
Whether or not there are agents on the ground, you have no proof of anybody being armed. And further, there is significant proof that the Iranian regime was responsible for the deaths not of 3,000 people, but of tens of thousands of young people who were, in many cases, shot in the back, shot at close range. Some people were even killed inside hospitals where they had been seeking treatment. What do you say to that?
Well, you're lying, of course, and you're producing propaganda. And I think increasingly Western media is just propaganda. Tens of thousands of people. That's exactly what you and your regime have helped Israelis do in Gaza. And your drones were gathering intelligence during the whole period of the Gaza genocide. You're responsible for a Holocaust. You're partners in this Holocaust. So you need to deflect attention. You need to project on the Iranians what you actually do.
That is the part where the interview really stops pretending to be orderly. Both people are now fighting over more than facts. They are fighting over authority. Kate is trying to force the guest into answering a direct allegation about killings inside Iran. Marandi refuses the moral premise behind the question and throws the blame back outward. The interruption cycle tells you a lot here. I'm asking you straightforward questions. I'm speaking. Don't be cowardly. Once you get to that kind of language, The conversation is no longer functioning as a normal interview. It becomes a dominance contest. And there is another important thing going on. Marandi does not merely deny the charge. He replaces it with a completely different story involving foreign intelligence, armed insurrection, and outside sabotage. So he is not playing defense in the usual way. He is trying to overwrite the host narrative with a bigger counter narrative. From where I'm sitting, Kate is trying to pin him down on proof, and he is trying to swamp the exchange with competing claims. So the audience focuses on the conflict itself rather than the missing evidence. That is why the clip feels so intense. It is not just disagreement. It is a battle over whose version of events even gets to count. After that, Marandi goes even wider and starts speaking like a wartime spokesman rather than just an interview guest.
But why is it, if the Iranian regime, as you love to call it, and it makes you feel better, why is it that the Iranian regime has so many millions of people supporting it on the streets every day?
Are there any people? Are there any people who oppose
your missile strike?
Are there any people who oppose the regime?
Strikes.
Are there any people who oppose the regime inside Iran?
Of course there are, but overwhelmingly people support it, and that's why you've lost this war. And that's why ultimately you're going to face the consequences, because the Strait of Hormuz is shut, and it's because of your policies and the policies of your overlords in Washington that the global economy is going to go downhill. And Iran is going to continue to hammer U.S. assets in the Persian Gulf because of this unprovoked aggression. You carry out war after war. You destroyed Iraq. You destroyed Afghanistan. You destroyed Libya. You're strangling Cuba. You've destroyed Yemen. Iran is a bridge too far. You're messing with the wrong people. You will see in the weeks ahead whether you succeed or not.
How much longer can Iran sustain the closure of the Strait of Hormuz?
Indefinitely.
This section is one of the strongest viral pieces of the whole exchange because it sounds less like commentary and more like a warning delivered straight into the camera. Marandi is not answering in cautious, diplomatic language. He is talking in absolute terms. You've lost indefinitely. You're messing with the wrong people. Those lines are built for replay. Kate tries to bring him back to material reality with the economy question. That is a smart pivot. She is basically saying, fine, you are making big declarations, but what is the actual cost? Can Iran really sustain that? His answer is not economic. It is existential. He frames it as survival. Once a speaker moves into that frame, practical cost-benefit questions lose force because sacrifice itself becomes part of the message. That is why this section stands out so much. It is not merely argumentative. It is theatrical, confrontational, and highly clip-friendly. You can already see why a title would lean hard into the wrong country line. But then the interview takes another strange turn because he starts bringing in the Epstein class language, and that shifts the feel of the segment again.
Because it harms your economy too, doesn't it?
For us, it is a fight for survival. For you, it is a fight to sustain the Epstein class and ethno-supremacism in Palestine.
Why do you keep bringing up? Why do you bring up Jeffrey Epstein in this context? What's the logical leap there?
It's very clear. It's very clear what class of people are in charge in your countries. That class of people are the people who have control. They're the ones who own the media. They're the ones who control the government. They're the ones who start unprovoked wars time after time. This is not the first war that you've imposed upon this region, or Iran for that matter. And we just saw yesterday a key American anti-terrorist official resigned, saying the truth that we all knew, but you tried to hide. And that is, Iran was no threat to the United States, and that this war was carried out because of the Israeli regime and its powerful lobby. So what I'm saying is basically what he is saying. That powerful lobby is the Epstein class.
Do you ever worry that people might struggle to take you seriously with phrases, language, conspiracy theories like that?
That was a huge pivot, and you can feel the interview wobble there. Up to that point, even in the middle of all the accusations, the clash was still tied to war, protest, bombing, state violence, and geopolitical blame. Once he introduces that Epstein class phrase, the exchange starts moving into a different register altogether. Kate spots that right away and challenges it directly, not with a foreign policy question, not with a military question, with a credibility question. That tells you she thinks the interview is drifting into territory where the audience may stop following the argument and start questioning the speaker himself. And honestly, that is a risky moment for Marandi too. Because when a guest brings in sweeping language like that, some viewers will hear it as bold truth-telling, while others will hear it as a sign that the discussion has gone off the rails. That kind of line can energize supporters and weaken your credibility with everyone else at the same time. Still, he does something very consistent here. He never accepts the frame of being cornered. Every pushback becomes another chance to accuse the interviewer, the media, or the broader Western system of dishonesty. That consistency is one reason the performance feels so forceful. The final stretch of the interview brings everything together: threats, refusal of talks, and one last battle over basic verification.
Well, that intelligence officer basically said what I am saying, and I think that people don't really take you seriously. And as time goes on and you continue to help B-52 bombers carpet bomb Tehran and people in this neighborhood, and they're seriously dead. Take that seriously. They die. You don't care, but we do.
What's the way out here? What's the way out here, Professor? How does this end? What's the way out?
A strategic defeat to the United States under Trump.
And what does that look like?
You'll see in the weeks ahead.
Is there a deal possible? Is there a chance of talks between the two sides at this point?
No, not at all. We will fight, and we'll hold the U.S. by the throat through the Strait of Hormuz, and we'll continue to hammer them. And if they try to do anything on the ground, then they'll really see what we can do. You've messed with the wrong country. Your propaganda doesn't work anymore, and the Iranian people have shown their resolve. They'll see this through. What you've done to the Palestinian people, to the Iraqi people, to the Cuban people,
finally,
to the Venezuelan people,
we are running out of time. We are running out of time.
To the Iranian people.
Can I ask you about the new Ayatollah? There are reports here that he is dead, that he was killed in an attack that killed his father. Have you any proof that he is alive and well?
You can make all the claims that you want. After all, that's what Western media does.
No, it was a simple question. I'm just asking.
The last section is striking because Kate keeps trying to return to direct, simple questions, and Marandi keeps refusing to stay inside their limits. What's the way out? He answers with defeat for the United States. Is there a deal possible? He says no. That alone tells you how closed off the conversation has become. There is no effort to sound conciliatory, no attempt to leave room for de-escalation in the language he uses on air. Then Kate tries one more time to ground the segment in something basic. Can you prove the leader is alive? That is a very simple question. And the fact that he still turns that into another attack on Western narratives tells you everything about how he approached the interview. He was not there to clarify. He was there to confront. That does not mean every viewer will agree with him. Far from it. But in terms of political media performance, he came in with a mission and never stepped off it for a second. Kate tried repeatedly to narrow, verify, and structure the conversation. He kept blowing the frame apart. By the end, it feels less like she interviewed him and more like both of them were speaking past each other in front of an audience they were each trying to win.
Whether there's any proof. Not everything's a trick. I'm asking whether there's any proof that he is still alive. There are some reports he's dead. There are some reports that he's in Russia seeking treatment. Is he in the country and is he alive and well?
That's a ridiculous claim to say that he's in Russia seeking treatment or he's dead in Iran or he was killed already. That just shows that these are just your narratives. He's leading the country and the U.S. empire is collapsing. And the world has turned against you, and your regime is part of the carpet bombing. You helped the carpet bombing in Tehran and across the country, and the world will not forget what you did. Professor, and the world will not forget your propagandists either.
After watching the whole thing, the biggest point is not just that it was heated, it is that both sides were operating with completely different ideas of what the interview even was. Kate McCann treated it like a tough but still recognizable news interview where claims should be tested and answers should stay tied to the question. Marandi treated it like an information war battlefield where the host, the outlet, and the political system behind them were all part of the target. That is why the clip feels so sharp and so chaotic at the same time. One side is trying to press for answers. The other side is trying to break the frame those questions sit inside. And once that happens, almost every exchange turns into a struggle over legitimacy, not just facts. That is really what sticks after watching it back. Not just what was said, but how little agreement there was on what kind of conversation this even was supposed to be. Subscribe for more political interview breakdowns like this, and drop your take in the comments. Did Marandi take over that interview, or did the whole thing spin out into pure talking past each other?